Hey there. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited here because Amy Lam is here with me today, and she is one of our first group of the TOLPAKAN healing practitioners that is certified. And Amy's got a really interesting history, and I just am so looking forward to this because I've been wanting to get Amy for an interview for a while because of her amazing experience and just just her journey through the Topican Healing Certification Program. So welcome, Amy.
Hi, Dr. Karen. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited. It's
I'm
been
excited.
wow since
Yeah, thank you so
graduate.
much for spending your time here. And I know every healer has their own journey, but I'm curious, like, what did you do, or what were you into before becoming a healer?
Wow. Actually, I've been into the spiritual realm for since I was very little. So I couldn't even tell you exactly when I got into this path, Julie. It's kind of like it evolved into itself. I mean, when it actually become professional for me is like about more than 10 years ago. But prior to that, I have always been, when I was in high school, I have always been interested in, taking workshops, learning the tarot card and, getting psychic reading and wanting to learn how to do it myself. So, and it's just evolved that way. And then my, actually, where I went to for school is psychology. So I got a doctorate in psychology. So that's where, for career wise, I'm doing psychology work. But on the side, I have always been doing, spiritual healing, doing angels readings, and I'm very interested in also doing crystal healing too. So I got certified in that as well. So yeah, it's just like it just evolved naturally that way.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, actually, can you review a little bit about, I know you've been in a lot of different kind of trainings, of course, and I didn't even introduce you as Dr. Amy Lam, so I apologize about that. Um, but tell us a little bit about the other programs that you've been trained or certified in.
Is the crystal it's from Hespicious Moons. It's a crystal healer course, so I was trained in that, and then I was also trained in Reiki. So I'm a Reiki master. Uh, oh my goodness! Like now you tell me to talk about all this, I kind of get lost in my thoughts.
I know there's like about 10, but maybe highlight, your
Uh,
top four.
angel healing, angel readings, my Doreen Virtue. Um, what is, of course, by you, Tobacan healing, and I'm also actually trained in Actorian healing method, but he doesn't certify anyone, so I'm just learning it as we go. So in my practice, I utilize Actorian healing method as well. So I mean, it depends, in the sessions, it really depends on the situation and the clients. So it's like I couldn't tell the patients like at the moment is like when I'm still the intuitively guide to what methods I use. So I mean, sometimes I use crystals, sometimes I use sound healing too. I really I like singing a lot, and I use Topican healings. I use, just it's just too many. I don't remember.
That's
Those are,
great.
I feel those are the ones that I have on top of my head that I really like to use during my
Yeah, so it sounds like you really kind of customize for your clients the experience based on intuitively what you feel is like a good fit for them and what they're ready to receive.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Like even if for the same clients, it might be a different method each time because when they come in for maybe the first sessions, they have these issues and it's at, to a certain degree, and then maybe second time they come to see me, they've gotten better or they have some other issues that surface because we're, doing it through the layers.
Right, right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. So at which point did you decide, or how did you decide to become a professional healer? I mean, and I'm talking about, being a psychologist is a professional healer. So what happened in your life, or how did you make that jump?
Oh, well. It's actually I moved back to Hawaii because I was in Boston. And then when I moved back to Hawaii, I was, I didn't have any job when I moved back because I quit my job and moved back to Hawaii. And at that time, I really felt burned out from my, being in the psychology field. So I just kind of resting because my family is in Hawaii. So that's why I went back home. And then that's when I got back into spiritual field, taking classes again, learning again. And then I just thought, because this is the best way to rejuvenate myself because I feel so burned out. Then somehow I just kind of like, I don't know, out of nowhere, I just like went to different new age shop and introduced myself as a healer and a reader. And then they just like
Wow.
took me on as, as a contractor. And that's how I just started. I don't know what, it just came about
Wow.
that way. Yeah.
I didn't even know that part.
Oh yeah. And then I was signed up to, for expos. I will have my stall in the expos, and that's how I did my marketing. And so it was great fun. That's how I started, at that time back in Hawaii, like.
Wow. And what a great way to get like experience,
It
working with
is. It was.
people, and I love how you just kind of just dove right in. You just kind of, your intuition just said do it and you didn't even question it. I love it.
No, I wasn't even scared for some reason. It was just felt very natural, and I started to do handmade soap with essential oil at that time too. I was selling that along with doing all the other stuff, the spiritual healing and energy healing. So yeah, that's how I started. There was like about like 13 years ago at least. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Um,
Now, I'm just curious as to like what happened for you to decide to then do Topacan healing as far as like a certification program? Like, is there a certain positive experience that you had either personally or friends and family that made you make that decision?
well, first, I found out about you from different spiritual programs that you were on, and I just felt a connection with you. So and then I just started to pay more attention about your work. Then I, took, I think I got took a class or something that you offer from one of those programs, and I just feel like this feels good. This feels really good, and then you're starting to teach people how to do it also, your mini healing sessions. That's really quick. That's a really fast and so a fast way to do it because from the other modality that I learned, you kind of have to like set a time frame like at minimal 30 minutes to do it, and they're very good, but then there are times that you want to just know some answers because with Tobacan you can really ask specific questions and you get it. You just need to be creative, which you taught us when we were taking Tobacan too, which I really like too because like you know you cannot just be set in a box when you're doing
Right.
with everything, not just spiritual healing. But so, and you taught us how to be creative, what kind of, how to ask questions, because in that way, you really can really dig deep and do it quick as well. So I like that speediness of this,
Hmm.
and be able to find how if the person's interested in finding out what was wrong, what's the cause, sometimes it's not needed, but then some people like to know. And with this, you can really ask, not just yes or no questions sometimes, but then you can really, if you know exactly how what to ask and how to ask it, you really can get the answer. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's very
that's what I like.
powerful.
Yeah. I think I don't know any other method that does that actually in that way. I mean, you can do like for example, a Reiki, you can do a Reiki session with someone and maybe you get a message, but sometimes you don't get a message.
Right. So and yeah, so what I'm hearing is and obviously we resonate, so we have the same kind of interest that sometimes people do want to know the answer for their own learning, evolution, and yeah, Topican healing, it's really about those quality questions, which of course now you're an expert, at finding and intuiting those quality questions to ask source. And I find that people the people that need to know those answers sometimes are really comforted by
Yeah.
the answers, like they've been searching sometimes for decades for
the
an answer.
conversation.
Yeah, I would love for you if you feel comfortable to share like maybe a case study or story. We don't have to use the person's real name, but just about something that was very positive that you experienced with a client.
Oh, I have this client, actually I've been seeing her for a while, for quite many years actually. And one day she knew I'm, doing different type of modality, learning different new things. And one day she just approached me and asked, during our session, she said, I thought that we got some like weird stuff at home. My dog keeps barking, like
Mm,
it's really unlike him, and he's starting to hide under the bed, and all that. And I don't know what's wrong. That scares me, and she herself like starting to feel something too, like something uncomfortable and all that. And she told me this been going on for a little while. So, but then she didn't tell me. She didn't think much about it. But then when her dog starting to keep continuously doing that, and then she started to feel a little bit things not going right, and then she told me, and I said, oh, okay. So I tested, and there's something actually. What happened was they were the dog when they were doing dog walking, something followed them. So and it went to their home, and so we did an entity clearing, and then I guess it went away after that. She wasn't complaining or anything.
right. So
Yeah,
the
the
dog
dog
stopped
stopped barking.
barking.
Yeah, the dog stopped barking because the dog usually just go home and happy-go-lucky and go into bed, and like, and so it all stopped. So I thought that was very quick and powerful.
Yeah, that is so
And I was able
cool.
to find out what happened.
Right, right. That is so cool. Um, so one of the things I wanted to ask you was about, I mean, obviously, you've gone through the TOPAKAN level 1, level 2 program. The level 2 program's pretty, comprehensive, and there's a lot to learn, of course. But just curious, like, what did you learn about yourself, or how did you personally evolve as you went through the TOPAKAN level 2 practitioner training program?
Um, well, actually, to have the courage. That's something
Right.
I really learned about myself. I mean, y- y- I told you about how I just introduced myself to the new age stops, right? But it's something that I don't even think about. But then as I don't know about others, but as I get older, it's almost like I feel less less brave. I think about more stuff. I worry about more things. So, and then when I think about more things, then I go, oh my God, maybe I shouldn't do it this way. But with you, you have been very supportive and very encouraging. So it's very touching for me, because
Mhm.
I feel that I learned that, okay, and I just need to be, you know, just do it sometimes, and have the courage to do something. And marketing myself is one of my weakest points, to be
Well,
honest.
I think for most healers.
Yeah. And I just like, if someone else can do it for me, I'll be so happy. Like,
I know the feeling.
I know, but given that I don't have to show my face or something, that wouldn't work. I'm selling my work here, so I need to show my face. So it's something that that you taught us that is not that we is part of the package. We want to be out there to do world service for other people and for the world, and we cannot hire ourselves. Marketing ourselves is not something to be ashamed of, or sometimes I used to think like, is it's not healing. It's not part of the healing. Why do I have to bother with it? I don't want to. I don't like it. And but then it is part of the package. And if you want to help other, you need to be able to show yourself and let other people know about you. Otherwise, people can't find you. How they can, unless someone very popular to begin with already, people look for you, right? So that's something I learned to be brave and not to not to be so narrow-minded, you know, to be more open, to see it more as sometimes it's not just one thing and it's just this. It is it's a whole picture. it's not just one thing. There's a whole picture. There's with many other things in it to become that picture. Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I love hearing that. And I just found out like just before we hit record here on the video that you have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. I,
Tell us about that.
oh well, I started that long time ago. I was just having fun. So I was like, whatever. You know, like I said, when I was younger, I don't worry so much. I just still live for fun. So I was having telling people about different type of crystal, what property they do. It was like each one is very short, like few minutes,
Oh,
five
that's
minutes, like
perfect. Mine are way too long, by the way, so yours is great.
oh, I just thought, well, I mean, there's only so much I can talk about one crystal. And I wasn't teaching people how to do a crystal grid or anything, just talking about like, oh, this is rose quartz and show them a rose quartz and what it is, self-love and healing. And I was doing that, using different crystals. And then because I got very busy with my psychology course, so I stopped. I stopped for many years. And then recently I just resumed and then I started doing light language. But then I noticed myself become much more stiff because I got nervous.
That's normal.
I know. I wish I was like back then when I was doing the crystal, I wasn't nervous or so I was just having fun. And then now it's like I try to relax myself, because I'm like, okay, it's not really about me as you
Right.
know, right? But then I mean, I'm human, so I would like to be seen very nicely, oh, she looks nice and she sounds nice, she has a lot, to get likes, to get many likes and subscriber, so it's something that I have to overcome, you know, it would be unrealistic to tell myself, oh, I'm not looking for that kind of thing, you know. I am looking for to have more likes and more subscribers so that my work can be spread out, to other people. But at the same time, I have to also focus like, okay, but more important also that I have to, this is for world service. Whoever is meant to listen to this, get to listen to this. And
Yeah.
I do what I can do and I need to let go and not to have, and the expectation need to not be the focus.
Right, right. That's brilliant wisdom right then and there. And I think that, we can have fun while we're helping others. And I was just talking to one of my young people that is now he does like Facebook ads for me and he does social media on YouTube and these are big name people that he works with. And what he realized through working with people over these years is that authenticity
Yeah.
is like the new black, like the new style.
Right. Yeah.
So like warts and all,
I
um,
noticed that.
yeah, people really like that authenticity and more so than the polish that
Mm,
in the past YouTubers, and there's still people that are really, really polished and they have great
right.
covers and, I just couldn't be bothered. I just want to get the information out there, right? So I'm just like, simplify it. But that is so great that you stuck with it. I mean, we're away for a bit, but you came back. And because being a YouTuber takes a lot of courage to be seen because there's always going to be somebody at some point that's not going to like it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you
They
have to
might
be
say something, they might not.
yeah, they might say something mean or they might, post something that's like whatever, hot
Yeah.
girls online, or that's what I've been getting lately. So you just delete them.
I know, like, well, you know that YouTube actually blocks it nowadays.
Okay, yeah, they're not doing as good a job on mine, but just, but
Because like, you get to see it, but then you notice that, and then it got removed afterwards.
oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I'm probably pretty fast in removing those things, and of course, I have two assistants that help me out as well, which is great. But good to know. Good to know those
Yeah.
things. I'm curious as to, I mean, we talked about marketing, and maybe that was the most challenging, but I'm just curious, like, was there something else that you felt was the most challenging part of being in level two, the
Um,
practitioner?
I think look for volunteer. Like, you know, in a way, I'm not a very aggressive, assertive person. Yeah. I think that, I mean the learning the healing part is I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
Right.
You know,
That's what I would expect. You'd be like all over that stuff.
yeah, I mean, because I enjoy it, that's why I didn't see it as a challenge.
Okay.
But so the part that I don't enjoy usually, the other the challenging part, like the looking for a volunteer is almost like ask somebody now. you know?
Oh my gosh, so true. I got to tell you a story. I didn't tell you this before, but when I used to go to church with my family and everything like that, I would dread the part, and I'm a recovering Catholic, so I would dread the part where they would say, "Peace be with you," and you say, "Also with you," and let us share peace with other people. And you had to go turn around and shake someone's hand. I was
Oh,
terrified every single Sunday, terrified of that because I first of all that it was like too intimate. Like I'm a sensitive soul, right? So too intimate to like shake some stranger's hand and and some people were hugging and it was like
oh, I don't like that. I don't know why they do that.
I mean, well now with social distancing, we just kind of go like this.
I know that much better. They
Yeah,
should
I
really
went to
do
a funeral
that.
the other day and I was like, oh, I have to shake somebody's hand. Well, not that I'm afraid now, but I used to be terrified. So it's funny how we can be scared of certain things,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can challenge us. Um, so I was curious to know, like, I mean, obviously, I mean, you have such a broad experience base and you have many, many, clients from various different practices and over the years. I'm just curious, like, like, do you have a type of clientele that would be like a really good match for you right now? Like, what would they look like? What kind of problems do they have? Like, what's a good fit for you?
Hmm. Actually, I think people who like to feel, I think everybody goes through the stages. When they age, they will hit a point where they feel like, oh my God, I'm no longer a young lady. you know, that they feel like, oh, I'm sagging here and there, and they and 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 is the rejuvenation that people really want to feel, not just the internally but outside, that they feel good when they look at themselves in the mirror, you
Mm,
know and when a person doesn't feel good when they look at themselves, they get depressed.
right.
And so when they that goes into their head, the emotions, and then it really is, I'm sure it's like the belief system of a person is very important. It's almost like if you believe you're sick, you're sick.
Right. Yep.
So if they're depressed, and then they could go really psychosomatic, that they feel, some certain sign, like certain times they feel pain over the back or some other area. It's because they might not consciously know it, but because subconsciously they are actually feeling they are not supported, they don't like themselves, they don't fully love themselves,
Mm,
or they have some anger towards someone. There's no forgiveness towards some people, and that it manifests into a physical form, and you feel it in your body. So, for those people who kind of like, I think is in a way I'm saying it sounds like very general, but I think what I'm saying is that the people who are in that category, who feels bad about the way they look, and then in turn they feel bad about how they feel, are the ones that I'm looking for, because my psychology is my background, so I always go back to the emotion side.
right.
It's almost like I cannot disconnect that from it. It's not so.
Well, it's
It's like,
valuable, you have
yeah,
that skill set, so why not?
right.
People can get the multiple skill sets that you have to help them, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, um, people's self-esteem can be affected by what they see in the mirror, and then you're talking about healing inside and out. So
Mhm.
not only, yes, we can rejuvenate energetically, physically, emotionally, but also that definitely heals within as well.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
can feel good about ourselves. And yeah, that's really great.
Right.
Now,
Right.
do you see men and women or mostly women at this point or
I
what's
would say mostly women is more like in their midlife crisis. Like when they feel the most, because then when they feel that they are aging and they feel like then they start really, the menopause really do some crazy stuff you know,
Oh, yeah, good.
to someone's health. So that's where those populations that I think I like to work with. Yeah, because it's a big transition in one's life.
It
That
is.
time frame, it's very tough to, it's not easy to age gracefully. It's not easy at all. And that is a big hump for a lot of people, I would think. I mean, people might not talk about it because,
Right.
want to really talk about, oh, I feel, you know, that I'm bad about themselves, right? Unless
Right. They lose, they lose their fertility, right? And that's a big transition. And men stay fertile for a lot longer, theoretically anyway.
that's
Um,
true. They wait into their 50, they still feel good about themselves.
yeah, so that you made a really good point there. And I know for me, like when I knew, like I had a miscarriage and I knew that I probably wasn't going to have children in this timeline, there was definitely a sense of loss. Like I knew that, understood, obviously that it wasn't part of my journey this lifetime, and I was okay with that. But there was still a sense of, okay, I've reached this age, and this place where
Yeah.
it's no longer appropriate or for the highest grace good for me to have children of my own. I can support other people's children. I'm a godmother now. But yeah, there's definitely that shift. And then with people don't navigate that perimenopausal, menopausal shift, they can really, I've seen it, kind of go, their mood
Yeah.
can sink, their health can sink, their self-esteem can sink, they're looking at their belly going, what the heck?
Right.
What happened?
Right.
What happened to my
I
youthful 20-something body?
it's difficult because I'm going through it myself, and so I can feel it. It's like I can put myself into other people's shoes,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of important.
Yeah, that can be really helpful so people know that you are compassionate and understand, where they're coming from. And of course, having that psychology background is really helpful too, because then they feel heard, and can express how they feel safely in a safe container and know that someone's going to honor and respect
Right.
where they're coming from. So
Mm.
that's super
And
valuable.
and people in that time frame during that period of time, it's very dangerous because it's easy to have the spiritual gap that they get
Mm.
entity entering into themselves. So it's if you can catch it early enough, then you can, seal that and not to have that experience. But sometimes people, usually in that time frame when they're depressed and not feeling good about themselves, and something enters, and so that part of things, entity is always with my work. It seems like entity is always part of it.
Well, yeah, you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You're comfortable with it, and so you can be expert at it, and it's just, yeah. So I think this is great. Thank you for sharing that, and I'm actually going to post the link near this video of how to connect with you. We're going to connect your About Me page here to the video, so people can book a call. Can you tell us a little bit about that kind of? Are you calling it a clarity call, or I can't remember, sorry, fitability call? What
Disability
that's
call.
like.
Is a disability call that they just I think there's a link on the your practitioner page, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just click on that link, and then it will go into my booking page where there's lots of link they can click onto once they get into the page, but then they choose the feasibility call to click on, and then they will get into my booking schedule. So then they can click, book a schedule to talk with me for free, and then we'll find out, their, if they we fit it for each to work with each other, because sometimes you won't know until you speak with that person, if that person feels comfortable with me, or if I feel I could work with them, and what are their, then the person can tell me what are their issues and how.
Yeah, that's great. So people can have kind of a low, a low risk thing that
Very
they can
low
do, because
risk,
sometimes it's scary just to
yeah,
even ask for help. And so if you guys can talk and interview and just see if it's a fit, and it's not a big deal if it is or isn't. Um, but that's great. That's fantastic.
because I have packages that are, that they can work with, and they can have like payment plans. So it's, they will find out when they talk to me if they work, because I know this COVID is very difficult financially for lots of people. So
Yeah, yeah, it's just, what it is right now that we're dealing with. But the nice thing too, I know that we didn't talk about this as your specialty, but I know we covered it in the program as well, is that, so many things are connected to other things. So even prosperity is something that can heal while we're healing other things.
Right,
Uh,
yeah. Sometimes it is not may not be the main focus, but
right.
then it will come up and be healed when you heal other things.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, I'd
Mhm.
love for you before we end today and say goodbye to, our viewers. If you had like one piece of key advice for
Mhm.
people who's on their healing journey, from your perspective, what would that be?
Be open and trust.
Mm,
Yeah. I mean, because as a healer, we can only be a channeling the, you
right.
know, to the clients. And the work is actually on the client themselves. So if the more open and trusting the client is, the faster, better the work will go.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Great advice. Well, Amy, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. And it
Thank
was
you, Dr.
great to
Karen.
chat with you, and I just love what you're doing, and well, and thank you for allowing me and my magic to be a legacy through you, as one of your skill sets, and I just, I think all your clients are so lucky to have you in their corner. So thank you, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me here, letting me introduce myself, and I'm forever grateful to you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And thanks everyone for tuning in. And we look forward to connecting soon. Bye for now.